do want to say to Doni and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
my head up.
I'm South Carolina, so I just
Doni.
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Mars?
Oh, my heart,
Happy 20th anniversary.
my heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? Doni.
and dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself. There's
The doctor lived next door to the janitor to the reverend and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Doni, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it for all the more.
letting His glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you.
First name's Doni, last name's Glover. In it to win it for the long haul, baby. It's Friday, February 9th, 2024. A day that no one has ever seen before. And here we are. We want to celebrate some Black history. Now, get out your pads, get out your pens, because we're going to share some information with you today. And it's my hope that you learn something new. But before we go forward, first things first, let's plug these books. No need in writing them if we're not going to promote them. And also, we stream live Monday through Friday on this Emmy-nominated show on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. First book written, published by yours truly, 2015, Unapologetically Black. I look at the interrelationship of politics and economics. My thesis is that if you don't have economics, you can have all of the politics in the world, but you have nothing. Or put differently, you can have all of the politics in the world, but if it doesn't parlay, translate, transfer in the economic empowerment of your community, and we're talking about West Baltimore, East Baltimore, then you have nothing. You have a lot of hot air. Second book, written in 2021, I Am Black Wall Street. We look at the exodus of Black people out of Florida, first into Kansas and then into Oklahoma. Kansas was the territory that people from the Deep South were headed to. It was made famous by people like this man. His name was Pap Singleton. They were pushing for Black people to leave the Deep South and go to Kansas because the Deep South had gotten very, very ugly. Especially after the Civil War. Hell, you got fools who don't know that they lost that war. Still today, fools. You lost. The Union won. Slavery's over. And America wasn't great. America was at its lowest state. Because of the institution of slavery. So we're pulling some facts out of this book today. A pictorial history of Black America, more than 1,200 magnificent illustrations. Another book I'll be pulling from. Now, did I get this book from? See, this is Freedom. This is a big book too. Pretty big book. So let's just start with basics. I'm going to pose a question to you. And I've thought long and hard about this. Did your ancestors come to this country in the bottom of a slave ship, as has been told to us? That's a slave ship. They packed them in like central booking, like sardines. Did your descendants come here chained up like with those chains? Did your ancestors come here in the bottom of a slave ship? Do you know? I personally do not know. I've personally not seen a record that says so-and-so, who I found to be my ancestor, came here as a slave. Now, I'm not saying it's out there, but I'm saying, how do you know what you think you know about your people? I want to put forth this. If the people who have oppressed you for 400 years tell you something, are you going to believe it? How do you know it's true? Because invariably, all you really know is what somebody told you. Who told you that they know? I know it sounds far-fetched, right? But I'm going to pose some other interesting questions, at least I think are interesting. Because the truth be told, you don't know. You don't know where your ancestors came from. For instance, some of your parents may have had the conversation with you that my father had with me, that my mother had with me. My father told me that his maternal grandmother was a Blackfoot Indian. My father told me that his maternal grandmother was a Blackfoot Indian. Now, some of you are going to say, well, and I've seen the comments before. I have a YouTube video up about Black Indians, and that YouTube video has gotten, because I like to be factual, top video as soon as you cut on the Donnie Glover channel. Let's do it this way. Sometimes I swear YouTube can be the most challenging. My Black Indian video has gotten, I don't know, I'll just share some of the comments with you. I'll share them with you. And I've got some with a lot of hits. 7,000. The video of the Obamas is a couple 100,000. Here we go. 34,000 Indigenous Americans. Let me read you some of the comments. When I put up a video about Black Indians. Often they are appreciated. So here's one comment from 4 years ago by Anti-Republican 319. Dark skin is common in all people who aren't white. These individuals were either mixed race, black and native, or just straight up indigenous American with dark skin. Is one from Peregrine Hawk Striker 362 4 years ago. Truth is truth. Great video. But I'm telling you, we got some disparaging comments. This is from Q Finesse. I always wondered why both of my grandmothers looked Indian, even though they are considered African American. Well, I will attempt to share with you some of the things that I've found over the years. Now, one, as it relates to Byron Dees, how you doing? Happy Black History Month. Good morning, Mike. When it comes to indigenous Americans, Native Americans, American history will tell you that the Indians, as we know it, with the, nose, the hook nose, long nose, or Indian nose, straight hair, American history will tell you that they came here 10 to 12,000 years ago through the Bering Strait. That's up around Alaska. That they walked from Asia through the Bering Strait to come to what is now the United States, 10 to 12,000 years ago. But what America will never tell you is about Luzia. Luzia's bones were found in a cave in Brazil. And I say Brazil. Most of us say Brazil. But I try to be as politically correct as possible. We'll show you a picture of Luzia. Her bones were found in a cave in Brazil 12 to 14,000 years ago. Her name is Luzia, L-U-Z-I-A. Now that's just what they are announcing that they found. 10 to 12 to 14,000 years old. And look it up. Don't take my word for it. Anything I say, go look it up. Don't take my word for it. Luzia, L-U-Z-I-A. Now, if Luzia was in Brazil 14,000 years ago, but the Asian Indians, if you will, the descendants of those that traveled through the Bering Strait from Asia from 10 to 12,000 years ago, then that means that blacks were on this stretch of land, South America, North America, and this is just an initial scanning 14,000 years ago. So it's fathomable that black people been here. Now, who knows what was happening before history was recorded in North America, because the Anglo-Saxon story will tell you the Europeans came across the water with Christopher Columbus in 1492 and discovered. You got to get a kick out of these people. Discovered. They discovered. They discovered America. You can't discover something when people already living, dummy. Our ego is something else, self-included. But you can't discover something that was already discovered. People were already there. I have learned in my research that there were 450 mound pyramids. Pyramids made of grass. There are 450 of them across America. I think there's one off of Patterson Park. I think they call it Collington Square. I could be wrong, but just south of the brewery, just south of where my first memories in Baltimore were, Patterson Park and Lambville. Mound pyramids. If you've been to Las Vegas, if you've been to the Strip, you will know that there is a hotel in Vegas called the Luxor, named after the Luxor or Luxor in Egypt. And I asked myself as soon as I saw, how in the world do they have an Egyptian theme? Why do they have an Egyptian themed hotel in the middle of Arizona? You know, in the middle of the desert, Vegas, Arizona, Grand Canyon. Why did this happen? Well, there's a place in Arizona called Kincaid's Cave. And people went down and they're exploring. And guess what they found? You'll never guess. They found Egyptian artifacts. So while Christopher Columbus discovered America in the 15th century, according to Anglo-Saxon history books, the truth of the matter is Egyptians been coming over here. I believe Mansa Musa came here. I've shared that with you. So Mansa Musa, for those who don't know, is and was the richest king who ever lived, worth 400 billion. I know Elon Musk got a couple dollars. He got a couple beans. I know Oprah got a couple beans. Warren Buffett, the Apple guy with Jobs, Steve Jobs, they got a couple dollars. They got a couple beans. They got a couple stacks. Compared to Mansa Musa, who had 400 billion, they had chump change. A black man. And when he did his pilgrimage from the Mali, Ghana area, West Africa, all across to Mecca, he was giving away gold. And that transformed the entire economy of North Africa. One man. A lot of us don't know that there are places in West Africa loaded with gold. One of the things that one of the commodities that was used to trade. I've seen some of the gold in West Africa, and it's just God phenomenal, gorgeous. So if anything today, we want to enlighten you, to do your own research, to do your own history. Don't let anyone tell you what your people have done or haven't done. Go do your own research in your own family. Go to, whether you have to go to Richmond. I understand that Richmond has some pretty good records of black people. If you have to use a combination, don't depend on any one source, including Ancestry.com. Do not. You have to find out the source of the people giving you the information, because if the source of the people giving you the information, and I got one of their kits around here somewhere. Yeah, that's it. You got to look at these results with one eye. You got to find out, what are they not telling you? Who are these people trying to tell you that? For instance, I don't think that there is a sampling with these people, Ancestry.com, of Native Americans with black roots. See, when there's this thing called a Dawes Commission, I write about it in my second book, that when the people in Florida, like Chief John Horse, when they made their exodus after fighting to a draw, fighting to a truce in Florida with the Seminoles, with their backs up against the wall, with their backs up against alligators and the Everglades. And the ones who never quit are called the unconquered. But we're talking about some who fought to a truce, you could say quit, who moved from Florida to Oklahoma, 1843, Chief John Horse. These people were soldiers, and when they got out there to Florida, they had this thing set up called the Dawes Commission, Dawes, the Dawes Commission. And the Dawes Commission determined that you were Indian and you were black. And it may have been based on the texture of one's hair, the color of one's skin, or other determining factors, shape of your nose. But it was a panel of white guys that said that you are Indian and you are African American. Who the hell are they? Are they geneticists? How do they know what your DNA is? And then you got this thing called $5 Indians, which I had never heard of until I started doing the research. And these were people who paid $5 or some ridiculous amount to be recorded as being Indians. So that way they could get benefits from the Indian peoples. You ever wonder why? And they just had Mardi Gras. Why in Mardi Gras they have black Indians? Anybody ever ask yourself that? Why are these black people so celebratory of black Indians? Because that's their ancestors. A lot of them come out of Florida. And even though, I got to tell you, even though I was so disheartened, discouraged, hurt at what happened to Trayvon Martin and how George Zimmerman in this racist country got to walk, and he will get karma's coming back, gonna smack him right in the back of his head. They killed that boy, Trayvon Martin, killed him in the streets, took that boy from his mother and his father over some damn Skittles because of his ignorance. I hated Florida as a result. And Ron DeSantis does not make me like it anymore. But despite the racists and the racism that comes out of Florida, know this, black people, Florida, a lot of great things happen for black people in Florida. And again, you should pick up this book because you will learn a thing or two about Florida, including about Black Caesar. We've seen stories about, what's his name? Johnny Depp in, what's the movie? Something in the Caribbean, Pirates of the Caribbean. But never in our wildest dream did we ever think that there were black pirates. We see them today in Somalia. No, there were black pirates here. And let me tell you how it happened. A slave ship was coming across the water, hypothetically. An African got loose from the chains and let his brothers loose and let his sisters loose, and they took over the ship. Lost at sea, they didn't know which way to go, and eventually they became pirates. And then they saw another ship coming across the water, and they might have freed them too. But anyway, Black Caesar, you can look him up. Don't take my word for it. Black Caesar resided in Biscayne Bay. Now, he's a pirate. It ain't like he can walk around and, you know, mingle. He had to live the life of a fugitive. They eventually caught Black Caesar. They found him with $6 million in silver, and they hung him in Virginia. He could have been the first black millionaire in America. We don't know. But if he had 6 million, I don't know too many blacks who was clocking that kind of money in America. But I just, wanted to share some tidbits of history. Not all blacks were slaves. Not all black people have slavery in their lineage. And not all white people were free. Go do your homework. Some whites were indentured servants. Some were the descendants of criminals. And some were criminals themselves. England called itself discarding the riffraff. Go to America or bust. So when I hear people use the term blue blood, it's laughable to me. Because you don't know what your damn lineage is unless you did the homework. And what is blue blood anyway? Blood is blood. If you're over there dying and somebody got your type of blood, I don't know if you're looking at blue blood, green blood, purple blood, red blood, blue, white blood. Blood is blood if you're trying to stay alive. So don't believe everything. One of my favorite stories in Black history is about Haiti. Because despite all that has been told to us in our lifetime about slavery and what's happened to us. No one will ever tell you about Haiti. And I'm so grateful for the White House Press Secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, sharing yesterday on this show about Haiti, the Haitian Revolution, and what it meant under the leadership of Toussaint Louverture, and then Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and then after Jean-Jacques, there was Henry Christophe. And there was a Jamaican who assisted in that revolution, which I learned about this week that I did not know. Let me share this also with you, that as I have learned about the various Black Wall Streets, interesting fact, Oklahoma has 70 to 80 Black towns. Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? Did you know that Oklahoma had 70 to 80 Black towns? Of course not, because it's not shared in our history classes. It's not shared. It's not well known. And that's the purpose of this book, to help share some of this history. But did you know that East Texas had 500? They don't tell you that in Black history, because they want you to think that all Black people did was get on a ship, did some step and fetch it, eat some watermelon, some fried chicken, and came over here and was happily a slave. And that's where Kanye pissed a lot of Black people off, saying that slavery was a choice. I don't know how badly he bumped his head that particular night. He's done some things. He said some things, but that one right there, you got to beg for apology, son. But no damn choice. Disrespect our ancestors with such foolishness. We have to do our history. We have to learn our history. We have to write it down, whether it be in the Bible, in our Qurans, or what have you. And we need to share it with our children so that they can have a deeper sense of pride that goes back multiple generations. I've heard rappers sing words that they've written, said, I come from nothing. If you're Black and you're in America, don't ever say that. Now, you may not know where you come from, but chances are you don't come from nothing. Chances are you come from something phenomenal, something great. And on that note, special thank you to Delegate Tiger Davis for sharing with me some of the accomplishments of our Black soldiers, including women, men and women who fought for this country in every, Cat Williams, every skirmish that this country's ever been in, including the Revolutionary War. 1st Rhode Island Regiment. It is my pleasure to share with you what the 1st Rhode Island Regiment did. They helped tip the Revolutionary War. But no one will ever tell you this. No one will ever give the Black soldier the credit, and his Black woman who covered him with grace and mercy and balm and ointments and everything else that a soldier returning from war needs. So big ups to the Black people of the Revolutionary War era for making sure that Black people are remembered in a dignified way. So look up the 1st Rhode Island Regiment if you want to learn some history about Black people. The Black soldier is so significant. And every time, let me share this with you. In my research, every time the Black soldier came back from war, his back was a little straighter. His resolve was even stronger. His grip was more firm, because he just come from war. He just come from killing people. He just come from seeing people killed. And somebody in this country, because of the color of their skin, going to call him boy. That's some respect, son. That's a soldier. You know how they did Black people. Gave us the crappy jobs. Put us out there on point in Vietnam. While the cowards in the back. And consequently, many Blacks were heroes in all branches of the military. The Semper Fi, the Marines, the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy. My grandfather, God rest his soul, who was killed in 1944, was in the U.S. Navy. He was originally out of Puerto Rico. Here's another fact, too, and I touch on it in my upcoming book about the history of the black press. In America, we know about Freedom's Journal, founded March 16th, 1827. Freedom's Journal, first black newspaper. And we assume that we wrote the first black newspaper. We did not. First black newspaper came out of Sierra Leone. And after Sierra Leone, the second black newspaper came out of Haiti. According to my research, the third black newspaper in the world came out of New York City with Freedom's Journal. We forget that we did not speak just English. We also spoke Spanish. We also spoke French in terms of European languages, because those two countries were very domineering, along with the English. The Spanish, the French, very domineering when it came to carving up Africa, colonizing Africa, stealing, taking, what have you, garnering the resources of Africa, including the most important, which is our ancestors. So I guess in conclusion, many black people were already here in this country when the European arrived. Christopher Columbus didn't discover anything. If you know history, you know the Moors were dominating Spain and the Iberian Peninsula, including Portugal, for 800 years. And if anybody was riding ships, it was the Moors. So all Christopher Columbus did was be a mimic. He did what he saw the Moors doing after the Moors were finally put out of Spain after 800 years, and teaching the Spaniards and the Portuguese how to bathe, how to build aqueducts, how to build water irrigation systems, teaching them about fashion. Today, many of us think that, oh, Italy is the home of fashion. You best believe it was a black design up in that mix. And blacks were all through Europe. Blacks, if you look up the story of the Moors, you will find that blacks were European royalty in every European nation, from Germany to Scotland to Ireland. Black people. Just look up coat of arms of the Moors. My name's Doni Glover, and that's just your tidbit of our history. Don't let anybody tell you where you're from. Go and do your own research. Hopefully I've said something, I've shared something that will spark your interest and make you go look up black history. But stop trying to get information from people who have oppressed your ancestors, because that's not going to happen. Never today, on your wildest dream, is someone who has benefited from your ignorance going to give you information to stop you from not knowing who your people are. And then lastly, as you find out the history of your own family, of your own peoples, write it down and share it with your children. My name is Doni Glover, and to that very special someone, good morning, world.